Portugal was really something that changed my life.
Noriko, I want to thank you so much for taking the time this morning to be on the podcast. I've known you for a very, very long time. All right, let's start off. I always start off with, where were you born?
Yamanashi Prefecture.
Yamanashi Prefecture?
Near Mount Fuji.
By Mount Fuji?
Near Mount Fuji.
Near Mount Fuji. Let me ask you this, do you have siblings?
I have an older brother who passed away last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I haven't seen him for 27 years.
You hadn't seen him for 27 years?
Until he called me last December 2021. And I was searching him, but he disappeared 28 years ago.
28 years ago. You mean he just, wait. You grew up with him, of course. It's just the two of you?
Yes.
How many years difference between you and him?
Yeah, he's 2 years older than me.
2 years older than you. Were you guys close when you were growing up?
Yeah, I always protected my brother. He was smaller than me, and he was not as fast as me, and he was not very smart. So often people come and he was in the middle of something, and I have to save him.
I see. So you took care of him.
Yeah.
You were very protective of your little brother, of your big brother.
My big brother.
Yeah. But he wasn't. He didn't get as tall as you did. You became taller than him.
He was a little chubby and shorter.
Wow. What about mom and dad? Are they still alive?
No. My mother had me when she was 40, so she passed away about a long time, 10 years ago. My father also passed away a long time ago. My father is a poet.
He was a poet?
Yeah. He took 文化功労賞とか勲4等. Went to emperor.
He was a poet, and he did
haiku poet.
Haiku poet. Is that right?
My mom had a boutique.
Okay.
That so all my clothes when I grew up was designed by me or my mom and made by my mom's shop. So.
And where'd she have her shop?
Yamanashi
Kofu, okay.
Yeah.
So you always had nice clothing all the time.
Yes.
So you never changed. You always wanted to keep that. That's all you knew.
I didn't have to buy anything. Everything was order made.
Tell me, what kind of child were you? Were you more academic or were you more sports minded? I knew you had to protect your brother, so I know you were tough.
I was actually both. I was head school community, often head.
Wait, no, I'm talking about when you were a kid.
Kids, yeah. So, 生徒会長ってなんだろうな、生徒会長、副会長。Yeah, I often, my score was also high, so and I was fastest runner.
In elementary school? In elementary school?
Yeah.
In Shogako? In Shogako.
I had a record in Yamanashi for 100 meters.
What? From what age? What age are you talking about?
I was like 11.
11 years old? Yeah. But that's Shugako, right?
小学校6年かな。
Shogako, 6年. Shogako no 6年. So you liked running?
Running, swimming.
Swimming?
I did ballet for 8 years.
Starting
Classic ballet.
From what age?
4, maybe.
From 4 years old. Is this something you wanted to do or something your parents told you had to do?
I don't know how it started, but
okay. But you liked it?
I loved it. I didn't like Nihonbuyo, Japanese dancing. Also, my mother
did that.
Asked me to do. It's expensive, and I had to wear kimono, and so I think we quit after a few years. But the ballet, I continued until I fell from upstairs on the stairs, and I broke my leg, and I couldn't ballet for 6 months, and I went back. Everybody else was better dancer than me, so I quit.
So that was that. Wow. So when you were going through school, academically, what did you like? Did you like to read a lot? Or were you, or you like your father, and you like to do poems?
What did I like to do? I didn't really study very hard, but I was very good at making a high point at the test. Just remember everything the night before the test,
Right.
and forget everything after the test. So I was not very. I didn't read very much. I paint more.
You like to paint?
Yeah.
What kind of painting? Landscape or people?
No, all kinds. But so I went to Musashi no Art University,
Yes.
and so as a high school I was in art class, art 美術部に I was in a member of art club.
Right.
I love painting a naked woman.
Really?
Little fatty one.
Are you really? Wait.
I have
from what age did you start painting?
No, that was when I was university student.
Of course.
No.
So you found enjoyment in doing that, in
Yes,
doing
yes.
people, especially if they didn't have anything on. You like that?
I didn't like men.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. But you like to do the women, huh?
Yeah, little fatty woman. I find them very beautiful.
Wait. These were real models, or was this from your imagination, or from a picture?
Oh, models.
Was that?
No, this model comes and
They would come in,
crop.
and everybody would be in there,
Yeah,
and you'd do them,
paint.
and you'd request the little fat ones. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I found fatty one more
Okay.
beautiful.
The curves and stuff,
Curves,
right?
Yes.
That's interesting. So you really liked art. Where'd you get that from? Were you doing that as a little kid too? Did you like to draw?
I think my mother is a designer. My father is a
That's right.
writer, right? So
And you
I'm
did
not very good with mathematics at all. Even now, I'm not good numbers.
But with
I'm
art
more
and
artist.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. So when did you pick up English?
English.
Did your parents speak English?
No, they didn't.
So where did that come from?
My mother or my father had a friend in Yamanashi, American. He often came to my house. He taught me how to pronounce TH to R.
When was that? How old were you when that
I
happened?
was like F7, 8, 9.
And you remember this? Yeah.
Kind of, but I didn't speak English. I went to America for 3 months when I was 13.
Did you have to go with other students, or this was homestay for 3 months?
Homestay, yeah, just homestay by yourself.
For 3 months. Wow. Did you go to the school while you were there too? Did you go to school?
No, I didn't go to school.
Okay, so it was like during summertime then.
Yeah, maybe even just 1 month.
1 month, okay. And then when you came back, so when did you start getting better at English? When you got to college?
I went to Europe by myself when I was 23. Just one morning I woke up, I said, I'm going to quit. I was a fashion stylist.
Right.
And I was working with Issey Miyake or many famous designers, but I never liked them.
Okay.
And I thought and my father always brought me the book of Chagall, Cézanne, Monet, all this. So I had a kind of dream about Europe. So I wanted to see Europe, and I wanted to find myself. So I quit everything, left everything, and just one suitcase, and we're off to Paris through Alaska. That's a long time ago. I'm 67, so that's 23. How many years ago?
But wait, how long did you go? How long did you travel?
No, just going to Europe took. Well, now it's because of Ukraine. We have to go wrong way, but
Right.
there's no direct flight that time. We had to
That's
go
right.
through Alaska.
Right.
I don't remember how many hours, but
No, but I mean, not how much time then, but how long were you gone? Was
we
it
were
for-
there for 3 years.
You stayed in Europe for 3 years?
Europe, yeah.
So where did you stop? Where did you stay?
I started Paris, and we lived in Portugal, and
You said we. It was
I.
Okay. I thought maybe. So you went alone.
Yes, I
Okay.
was.
Okay.
I was.
I'm just listening to everything you're saying. I'm listening again. Go ahead.
So Paris, Portugal, and then I moved to England. Portugal was maybe about 6 months. In England, the rest is basically London and Oxford.
Right. Where'd you like the best?
I loved Paris, but Portugal was really something that changed my life because I lived in Nazaré, and Nazaré is a small port, and every morning they go to shipping, and then twilight time, every woman wear black there, so they all come out from village, line up on the beach, waiting for husbands to come back from the fishing, and so when boat arrives, everybody disappear. The same thing every day. And that time I wanted to be very famous designer or someone famous and very ambitious. And first time I saw this simple life exist, that every day wake up and go to fishing and go home, and next day sun is up and you go to fishing, and so I was very impressed to see this kind of simple life. So Portugal was a very special place.
How long did you stay in Portugal?
About 3-4 months.
3-4 months? That had to be interesting. Did you do any drawings while you were there?
No, in Portugal I was studying French.
Okay, so you studied French while you were in Portugal?
Yes.
Getting ready to go to France?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I moved to England.
Instead of France? Did you go to France at all?
I
France?
did go Paris first.
Okay, but you didn't stay long?
No.
Okay. So then what'd you do when you got into England? When you got to England, what did you do?
I was in a school, Linguramas English School.
Right.
I was in Linguramas English School in Portugal as well.
They had connecting.
They have school in Portugal. They have a school in London and Oxford.
Oh, so it made it easy for you. So you had a place to go when you went, something to do.
Yeah, I knew the head of the owner of the school. I met in Tokyo.
Okay, so you had so you weren't just.
I had some connection.
You had connection,
yes.
so you weren't just out there taking a chance. You knew you had a place to go to.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. That's good.
And so London, they put me to the boarding room.
Okay, boarding. Okay, you became a boarder.
But and so 6 o'clock, someone ring the bell, dinner time, and then we go downstairs, and dinner is served in a plastic dish, and it's typical English, horrible vegetables, and basically it's not eatable. So next day I went to Piccadilly Circus and Dentsu office and asked for job.
Okay.
And the secretary is from Sri Lanka. She was very nice and sweet. She said, "I cannot hire you, you're a student. But what's the problem?" So I said, my place I'm staying serve food which is not eatable, and I have to find somewhere else to live. So that's the night. That night she came to pick me up and moved to her apartment. She was so nice.
Sweet. How long did you stay with her?
I think few months until she find her friend Jeffrey as a room sharing guy.
Right.
So she introduced me this Jeffrey. So I moved to his apartment and shared apartment.
Right.
And so I had to make money. So I was selling a lunchbox to Japanese businessman, obento.
So you got all the ingredients, made it yourself.
Yes. I guess I bought macaro, or just I can buy soya sauce and pizza. So I basically made probably good. I think I charged about 3,000 yen per one box of lunch. So, and I think there are about 6 of them. So they're missing Japanese food. So they loved my lunch box. So I delivered in a tube train.
That's smart. So that gave you some income for the time when you were there.
I was teaching Japanese to a couple policemen or one lawyers, and yes, that's also another job. So then Then one day when my Jeffrey's brother lived in Switzerland, came to visit.
Okay.
So I gave the leftover my food as a breakfast. Then he was impressed. He invited me to Switzerland, Neuchâtel, as a chef.
Okay.
So I didn't have money, but they are paying a air fee and salary. So I said, okay, I go. So I went there. It's a beautiful, beautiful village near Neuchâtel. So I had to make my own menu. And I called my mom to send me some Japanese stuff like sensu or things. But I brought my furisode, Japanese kimono.
Right.
My mother and I went to Kyoto, bought it for my 20th celebration, 20 years old, seijin.
Okay, yes.
2 million yen no kimono.
Right.
But I didn't go to seijin shiki.
Okay.
So it's pity, so I brought it to Europe. So every night when I serve food, I put on the kimono and so put my hair up.
Right.
So people liked it.
That was smart that you brought that.
Yeah.
That was very lucky that you brought that with you.
Yes. Yeah, that kimono was useful. In Portugal, I was doing a model for school. Or even Japanese can study English, kind of this.
Right.
That's kind of poster.
So you had a poster with you as the model for
Wearing
studying,
kimono, learning English.
learning English.
They say even Japanese can learn English.
Right. At that time.
But that was, yeah. Anyway, kimono was useful.
That's right. So how long were you there in Portugal?
Portugal, no, Switzerland.
I mean Switzerland, I'm sorry, yes.
I think only 3 months or so.
Okay.
And it's a French-speaking area, so.
Yes.
And he bring wine, white wine, gasoline when I start cooking. So now I used to having a drink when I cook.
But what's gasoline? Gasoline.
He said gasoline.
But he meant wine.
Wine.
Okay. Fuel. Okay, fuel. Okay, I got it. And you would drink that or something?
I
or?
have a little glass of wine and prepare meal.
Okay. Right.
I didn't ask. He
Right.
just wanted.
You were the only Japanese person there?
Yes.
There were no other Japanese.
No. It's a small village in Neuchâtel. Nobody have ever had a Japanese, so
You were the first
they
they'd ever
liked my
seen.
sweet and sour pork with Chinese.
Oh, Chinese, but they loved it.
And chawanmushi, sweet
Right.
apples.
Chawanmushi.
Yeah, I don't remember. I made a Japanese salad with Japanese dressing.
Right.
I made a dressing. Yeah. So yeah. I
Could you
did
do
pretty
any
good.
sushi or sashimi?
No.
No, you couldn't do any of that.
No fish. So
No fish at all.
well, maybe some trout, but has to
Right.
be cooked.
Right. That's so interesting. You had an interesting time. So then when you came, then after that, from there, from Spain, you came back home?
To London. Yeah.
You went to London,
Mm.
and you were there for how long?
So total was 3 years. So I don't know how I
Wow, yeah, how
divided
long, right.
Portugal, Switzerland, England. And I was working for the school as a reception.
Where?
The school I was studying.
Okay, yes, okay, right.
And I didn't speak English very well. So highly grammar, and then after that I don't understand. So anyway, I don't know how I managed it, but I did.
You did it. So did you want to come back when you came back, or were you?
I fell in love with this professor in Oxford,
Okay.
and I wanted to marry him, get married.
Okay.
So I wanted to come home once to tell my mother. But basically, I was stopping in Paris, and Bernard, he came to Paris to say, "No, we are not marrying. You're too much ambition. You have so much ambition. I'm happy in Oxford, small house, as long as I can hear the classic music once a week, and read a book. But you will not be happy living with me." I said, "Well, I'm happy with you." No.
Was he much older than you?
He was much older.
Well, he knew.
He knew.
He knew. That was very lucky for you.
So I was
That was very
broke.
lucky for you, Ken.
So I came home broken heart. And,
Yes. And you didn't want to go back after that?
No. So I had to come back to Tokyo,
Right.
and only connection I have was fashion. So I was working for Takashimaya as a designer of Ungaro, and then I met Ken before I left Japan. I went to English school in Koenji. He was a teacher when I was a university student.
Before you left for 3 years?
Yeah.
You already knew Ken?
Yes.
Okay.
A
What's
little,
that?
yeah.
A little.
I
So
was
didn't
not
know.
interested in
Right.
Ken.
Right. You weren't interested in him, but you saw. But he looked kind of like the professor, a little bit.
Me?
No. I'm just saying.
No, he had a long hair and
Oh, did he? Come on.
kind of long
Well, that's
hair.
the time. That's the time for that. That was the time.
And,
Yes.
so when I came back, he came back. He went back. He went to Canada same time, and I went to Europe.
Right.
So he finished his master in Canada, master
Okay.
degree, and he got the job with Canadian forest industry. And he came back to Japan as an expat this time,
Right.
not as a teacher.
Right.
So he had a nice apartment in Akasaka. So invited all his old friends. I was not invited, but my friend was
Because you
invited.
guys hadn't been friends or anything.
No,
Nothing. Okay.
but I came with him to his party.
Who's him?
He was also his student,
Okay.
and who likes me. I kind of
Right.
difficult
Okay.
anyway.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Okay.
So he said, "Let's go to see Ken."
You knew who you were going to be seeing, though.
Yeah, I
Oh, you
remember
knew.
it as a teacher.
Okay. Right.
And then he had a beautiful, very nice apartment in Akasaka,
Okay.
and he had a short hair.
Oh, he cut his hair short. Okay.
And looks very honest and sincere guy. So,
Right.
so that's it.
So what do you mean? Wait, that's not it. That can't be it. Wait, hold on. So were you the aggressor, or was Ken the aggressor? Who chased who? Oh, you don't want to say. Okay. I just heard you had a real good apartment, a beautiful apartment,
Right.
and your hair was cut.
So real estate always played a large part in our lives.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Okay, so we had a good time at the party, and the next morning when I was thinking, how am I going to get in touch with her, she called me.
Gotcha.
Landlines, right? Landlines.
That's all we
Called
had then.
landline And said thank you, and then I invited her out for dinner.
And then it
the rest
started.
is history.
You're going to tell me when it's your turn. Ken's going to have his turn right after this. That's her husband.
I just thought I'd just
Right. No, good.
Thank you
That's
for
neat.
listening my long
So how
story.
many? No, that's not a long story. It's a beautiful story. You have how many children now? 3 girls. So you have 3 beautiful daughters. Wow.
Yeah, we are very close.
They're close. They're very close with each other.
I'm very close to them, and
Yeah,
they,
I think so.
especially second, third is very close. They work for me. you
Right.
know.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
they do
they-
real estate
in
with
fact-
you.
Yes, one does real estate, one does relocation. I have 2 companies. One is relocation company, Tokyo Orientations. That's my youngest. Hana works for Tokyo Orientations.
Right.
Sky Realty is a real estate. Lena works for real estate. So Hana was in Canada for 12 years, having a good time, living in my house in Vancouver, our house in Vancouver, and
Right.
working for Nippon Hamu, and she loved it, but she was also ambitious, and Vancouver is kind of laid back. It's a very nice place to retire, maybe.
To spend your last years, but not if you're ambitious.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we are able to convince her to come back and take over our company business.
So all your daughters are here.
No, Sarah is still trying to be an actress in Hollywood.
So Noriko, that is wonderful. There's a question I like to ask before I end the podcast. That is, if you could go back in time magically, with all the knowledge you have now, and speak to the younger Noriko, how old would she be, and what advice would you give her?
I guess I live best for today, like a Portuguese. So
You wouldn't change anything.
probably not really.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. I've heard that a couple of times. I want to thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like and subscribe. And never forget, it's all on loan, so continue to reach for the stars.
Because you're too rest to be stressed.